The foreman, on a check of the salinity of the pans, is met with an assault like rocket fire. Kicking up a din which is intended to intimidate, the cockbirds mob him, while the females distract attention away from their nests. It's a needless panic. There's no menace from that quarter. But as the eggs hatch and the vulnerable young birds are making their first staggering forays from the nest, the intensity of the parents' anxiety heightens. And there's real cause for alarm this time. A harrier comes looming up. The warning shrieks offerantly. Away from the Salinas to the east of the island are wonderfully mysterious marshes where tourists seldom go, and indeed where attempts at industrialization fell back and gave up. Here at Country, the engineers failed. Now snakes slither in the drains which never worked. A paper mill was abandoned and fell into dereliction. In winter, the marsh is a stronghold for wildfowl, but it's a summer sanctuary for the drably colored songbirds who locate each other by sound in the trees and weeds. The mountains of Majorca still come as a surprise to many visitors. They tower nearly 5,000 feet. Inland from the spongy coast, the rock faces rise hard and weathered, the terrain of other kinds of Majorca's fauna, where sheep and goats can survive on the thin pickings. And where there are sheep and goats, expect that industrious toiler under their tails, the dung beetle. The female beetle zooms around until she homes in on fresh dung, lays her egg in the warm, protective, incubating wrapping, and shapes it deftly as a pastry cook making donuts. Her young will hatch inside their own food parcel. The sheep and goats serve the vultures too. The vultures want them dead. This is the black vulture, one of the largest of all flying birds, with wings spanning 9 feet, galleon sails which carry it with scarcely a flap, spiraling and soaring up the thermals for hours on end. High up at vulture level is a monastery and a monk who's seen the black vulture population shrivel in the past 15 years, poisoned, he thinks, by pesticides. He keeps this young black vulture, specimen of a vanishing species, the reptilian head. The horny foot, rather an ugly bird on the ground, away from its natural element. The chopper beak mounted on a sinewy spring neck, the brutal toes and scalpel claws are the instruments of execution it's armed with. But look at the structure and the style of their vehicle, a bird built for mountain peaks and the gulfs in between. Daybreak, the time to go falcon spotting. Around these bluffs are small colonies of Eleonora's falcon, and this is the time when these aerial killers sweep out to intercept the arriving migrants. And back to its nesting ledge. It's late in the year, mid-August, to find any birds still at their breeding sites. But it's now that the young of the Eleonora's falcon hatch, exactly timed so that their insatiable appetites can be supplied with abundant meat, snatched from the incoming bands of weary autumn migrants, these straggling parties of waders and songbirds on their autumn trip to Africa. The peak migrant rush hour is during the 3 hours after dawn, and it's then that the adult falcons circle the sea and scout for prey. By midday they've stocked up the larder, and they doze until the next hunting session, evening, when they look for a change of menu, the insects which take to wing as the sun goes down. Duck or moth, the Eleonora's falcon is ready to deal with either. A cross in habit and skill between our insect-catching hobby and the peregrine which kills pigeons and rooks. It flies with the dash and dazzle of all falcons, but it's a more gregarious and noisy bird than any we have. These falcons appear to delight in aerial acrobatics, and with feeding duty done, they'll spend a morning in sport, displaying to their mates in front of their homes, and, one would like to think, enjoying the liberation from breadwinning, enjoying the arrogant sweetness of the pure skill and supremacy of flight which is theirs. And as the falcons put on the pyrotechnics of flight at its most powerful, drifting gently under them toward the shore among the litter of their kills, Velella, the by-the-wind sailor, a fantastic little living raft, whisked along the waves by its membranous purple sail. Under the sail is a central mouth surrounded by reproductive organs and a frill of tentacles. When the wind is strong, they're washed ashore to sprawl in heaps on the bathing beaches. At least Velella quickly disintegrates, unlike the other litter cast up, the rubbish symbolic of a larger devouring mouth and longer tentacles, the persistent trash which tourism deposits on Majorca's shores. Majorca is being developed, as the phrase goes, pell-mell. Urbanization is steamrollering into what only a year or two ago was wild and lovely country. There's no planning, you might notice. Sun and fun are in great demand by millions able to pay for them in this era of new affluence. Therefore, as much in demand is cheap land from which quick, big profits can be milked. The marsh at Albufera baffled man's reclamation ideas for a long time, but no longer with the machinery and materials now available. In 5 years, the fit has been licked into the required shape. Here is to be the city of the lakes, bigger than the capital, Palma. Haphazard ribbon infilling by speculators and property dealers with international die-cast scenery of skyscraper blocks and standardized hutches. Sodium-lit roads already in lead to the zoo, which conveniently packages wildlife for inspection by catalogue. The stale old crimes of self-mutilation committed by almost every other country in the world are being reenacted here as if they're a novel notion. Above prefab beaches, hotels and summer houses are already perched on land which was recently swamp. Men and machines are quickly changing an ancient landscape. In comes the plastic pleasure park. Those who loved Majorca used to come because of what it was. What it had amazingly remained when most accessible sunshine spots have been turned into commercial commodities. Will the wild marshes survive and the wild birds which need them? Do people want to come to the lake where ospreys fished only a year or two ago to see a water ski spectacular? Well, yes, they probably do.